All right, hey everyone. So we got a really good stream tonight. Definitely gonna be a fun one. So um, I don't have them up on the screen yet, but we'll actually be doing my first ever co-stream with another really cool guy in the community, John Capobianco. When I say community, networking, network automation. You'll definitely recognize his face if you've watched any of his YouTube videos or if you follow him on Twitter. So let me go ahead and bring him into the scene real quick. All right, there's John. Let me break
Hey everybody.
your face a little bigger in the stream there. All right, cool. So
Thanks for having me, Danny. This is gonna be a lot of fun tonight. So I appreciate the invitation. Danny's when he said he was going to start his stream, I was really excited to have see another person's look at solving problems with network automation. And it's funny, we use the same tools and have kind of come at it a couple of different ways with our own approaches. So Danny, why don't you talk about PyETS a little bit?
yeah, yeah. I'll get started with that. And just a heads up for everyone that's joining. I see a couple people in the chat. So on YouTube, Ganesh says, "Hey Dan and John, looking forward to the stream." Hey, I'm glad you're looking forward to it. We've been looking forward to it honestly all week. We met earlier this week, and you'll see all the cool stuff we've figured out with VS Code and figuring out how to incorporate the parser I wrote into John's program, Merlin. And then I also have James. James, you're solid, man. James on Twitch says, "What's up, guys?" So you're here every stream. I'm glad you're here, James. So yeah, we got a really good one. So without further ado, I'm gonna just quickly. We already talked about PyATS and Genie a lot on this stream. And that's more related to the project I'm working on, NetCheck. But just for everyone that might be new, hey, Wens Moon, what's going on? Um, yeah, so for everyone that's kind of new to the stream or just as a refresher, PyATS is what we've been using or what I've been using on my stream and what John's using to collect data. In my program in NetCheck, I actually use PyATS, their testing harness as well, to run tests against that collected data. But all in all, PyATS, that's what it's all included basically. It's a very expansive library. But what we're actually going to be looking at tonight is the Genie library. And as you know, if you've been here before, I've talked through Genie. It's actually the parsing library. So that's where it converts your raw CLI output to parse data that we can then programmatically interact with. So I'm going to quickly show the. Oh, and just as a heads up, everyone. So I'm on a call with John on Discord. I'm VPN'd to Cisco Sandbox on the West Coast, and I'm also hosting the stream. So if you see me lag in and out, or if there's the stream freezes, just refresh the stream. Hopefully we're back up. But just wanted to throw that out there because my PC is definitely running hot tonight. So
And on this same topic,
yep.
what I think is really neat, and we haven't mentioned this. So Danny and I got together to prepare for tonight, and we were like, let's try VS Code live share. So what's really neat? I know that Dan is in the Docker file on line 35.
Oh,
And that's because I'm actually inside of his VS Code session right now, and we're pair programming using live share. So I can see when Dan types or moves the cursor, it says Dan and it's yellow. But when I type and move the cursor, and let's just do a demo, I'll put it at the bottom here. I'm going to say hello world from, Quebec, Canada. You should be seeing this inside of VS Code on Danny's Docker file, and it should be like green or blue and say my name.
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's like a greenish color. The cursor is green. So, yeah, the stream can see it, and yeah. So I was gonna let you introduce that. But I'm glad you jumped to it, and we'll go into more. So basically, in this pair programming session, we're going to um, integrate the Genie parser that I created and contributed to the project, and putting it and integrating it into John's Merlin project. So we'll dive into, you probably see all these files on stream right now, and the Docker file and all this stuff that you're like, whoa, these, Docker and bunch of buzzwords all at one time, Python, Docker, network automation. So we'll get to it. But first, I wanted to quickly show what we're actually integrating, and then John will be kind of I'll be the one typing and kind of moving through the files, but John will kind of help guide me through, and what needs to happen, since at the end of the day, this is his baby, this is his project. But at the same time, I'll be learning about it, and honestly, hopefully in the future, be able to contribute and help John out with it. So yeah, so let's just jump real quickly, go over the parser and what we're actually going to be adding into his project.
Yeah, I'm really excited. And I just want to mention, it really is collaborative. I want I want Danny's parser in Merlin. Like, I can't wait to have license information. You have to understand. We're going to talk, and you'll see this later, but I'm very big on writing automation solutions for the business. I'm not too big on writing automation solutions necessarily for other network engineers. It's for the business. Now we're in this new era of smart licensing, and everything is software driven, and you have to unlock features with licenses. It's very, very valuable data to the business. And I'm really excited that Danny's gone through the trouble of writing the parser and going through all of the process of getting it upstream and incorporated through a pull request into the project, so that now downstream, me as another open source developer, I can access Danny's parser. So I'm really excited about this collaboration tonight.
Yeah, well said, John. Yeah, at the end of the day, a lot of these parsers, the idea between the show license summary was, it's a crucial command for the business, but then also the engineer itself. So, yeah, I'll quickly, I have it up here. So just as a reference, I'm in the Genie library, the documentation. So Genie has like many different features. It has device APIs, models, which actually John uses some of the models with the learn functionality within Genie. It has parsers, triggers, and verifications. So we'll actually be looking at the parsers. And you probably saw as John was talking, I just went into parsers and then searched for the parser that we'll be looking at tonight. So it's the show license summary command. For those that are familiar with kind of Cisco's newer licensing model, it's a subscription-based model, for the DNA licensing, but at the end of the day, it's really a smart licensing model where it kind of calls home per se to a smart licensing server. So normally you would get these devices and you would be able to just run the devices out of the box, not have to worry about the different features. They would just run, right? You might have to buy perpetual licensing, but as soon as you got it out of the box, powered it on, the device had all the licensing you purchased. George Mann, stream note, Danny's volume is much lower. All right, actually that's good to know. I'll make it a little louder. And I actually
Push my microphone away.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a pop. All right. So yeah, sorry about that. I actually tried moving my microphone closer to me. But yeah, John he's got a loud mic.
Got a really hot mic. I'm sorry, everyone. I'll try to turn it down in Discord.
Yeah. All right. So, but I appreciate that, George. I actually was going to bring that up in the beginning because I noticed we created a video earlier this week to kind of hype up the stream, and yeah, I definitely was where I was much more quiet than John in the video. Um,
I just turned my mic down by about half. Is that any better? Yeah,
uh,
George, thanks for bringing this up.
yeah, I'll let the viewer. I mean, you sound definitely lower to me. You might just crank it up a little bit more.
All right.
All right, that's yeah, that sounds good. Um, and I'll pay attention to chat if there's any if anyone wants to comment on our on the volume. Um, okay, so yeah, so this license. So going back to it, this smart licensing model basically they've eased Cisco's eased it up a little bit where it had to communicate within a certain time frame to the smart licensing server, which by default was just in the cloud. Cisco hosted it, um, and so that was by default. But there are on-prem options to where you could build your own smart licensing server, and that way your network devices just talk to it locally. Um, all right, George, thanks for the feedback. Much closer volume. Thanks. All right, cool. So, anyways, yeah, this all kind of changed, and the crazy part was it changed and was more strongly enforced with code upgrades. So after I believe it was 16.9, I think it was the 16.9 train or 16 somewhere in this, and definitely in the 16 train. And it depended on what routers versus switches and the different models. But the once you upgrade the iOS, this smart licensing model was enforced, right? So the tricky part was you had to understand, okay, what's the new smart licensing model look like versus the perpetual licensing that you just bought and it worked out of the box. So you had to understand that, and on top of it, they had a slightly different command. So normally you could do just a show license or show license all on a iOS XE device, right? And it would show you all the perpetual licenses. Well, with smart licensing, those commands didn't work. I'm not too sure about show license all, but I know show license doesn't work. It doesn't show all the smart licenses. So, there's a specific use case where show license summary, obviously, that it shows all the right data. So that was kind of the reasoning behind creating the parser was, with mostly all devices, once everyone kind of catches up with their code and doing their upgrades, they'll all be on smart licensing sooner than later. So, creating this parser just kind of helps with, I don't want to say it future proofs, but it helps with, anyone that finally gets that smart licensing model. So, but you'll see right here, the schema, it's pretty simple. So we basically have a top level key called license usage. And then there's right below that. So within the curly braces, think of it, it's these like a nested dictionary, right? So within license usage, you might have multiple instances of what I just highlighted there. So the any string basically means that's kind of like a wild card. So with the different licensing, you could have your network essentials, network advantage, DNA essentials, DNA advantage, DNA premier. There's a bunch of different license types, and that's basically where that would the name or the license type would go in this any section, right? So that's how you can have multiple sections of this. So let's say you had like a network advantage license, and then you also had a DNA advantage license. You would have two sections of this content. So you'd have the name of the license, and then the entitlement, the number of licenses, which is the count, and then the status. So the status will tell you whether it's authorized, in use, and there was another one. No, not registered. It might just be in use, authorized, not in use, or expired or something like that. But anyways, this status key captures that. And then once you get this output, that's where the fun begins. You can programmatically interact with it. And as John mentioned, we're actually feed it into his Merlin project, and then you get a nice business ready document. So by the end of the stream, we're going to have this parser in Merlin and be able to produce a business ready document. So sorry, that was very long. John, did you want to add anything to it?
No, I do, and I just want to point out why this is the magic. This is Merlin. This is the root of it, is getting traditional CLI commands or network state information as JavaScript object notation, as this JSON. Now what you're going to see is we're going to map this almost field by field into a model, a Pythonic model, that then we're going to migrate using Django's built-in utilities into a post-GRE SQL or Postgres, I'm going to call it the rest of the night, database table. Now what's neat is, looking right here, I know we're going to need 1, 2, 3, 4 fields in our data model just by looking at this schema that Danny's just covered for us. So now I mentioned Danny's going to do what I think next we're going to do is make a test bed file. So PyETS typically, traditionally, uses a testbed.yaml file that we have to put the target network device in YAML format, the IP address, the credentials, the type of platform it is, the host name. So Danny's going to make one of those real quick. And what we're going to do is, because not a lot of people know this, PyETS has a CLI. If you have PyETS installed in a virtual environment or something, you can actually say PyETS parse show license summary in quotes, and then pass it that testbed file. So that way we can see what this JavaScript looks like from a real environment, in this case, the DevNet sandbox that Danny spun up. Did I miss anything there, Danny?
No, you pretty much nailed it. I'm actually in the PyETS documentation now to try to get just a scaffolding of the testbed. And then once we get
README
that,
file.
what's
If you
that?
hit my if you go to my GitHub repo, I have one in my README file. If you want a quick testbed file,
Okay.
um, yeah, it should have everything. Although it's not for the 9K, it's for the 7K.
That's fine. I can change it around. Perfect. Yeah, I was just looking for kind of the scaffolding here. All right. Um, so I guess at this point, we understand, I presented the parser, what we're going to integrate, the data that we're going to collect. Um, and then John's kind of going to walk me through from here. He's going to walk me through getting familiar with Merlin, adding the parser, adding the data model. And essentially, when we say data model, all that does is basically help validate the data that's being put into the Postgres database, right? It helps structure and validate that. And then it also helps with the views. So he can then predict the type of data that we're going to put into kind of think of it as like a table, an Excel table in a way. I mean, I think that's fair to say. That ultimately will be what we see in our web browser. So just to clarify, I know we're throwing out a lot of terms, so I like to, keep it as high level as possible, but kind of dive in the
Yeah.
details when we need to.
Actually, I'm thinking we could probably, since we know the predictive model, we know that there's going to be 4 fields and we know what they're called.
Mm-hmm.
Let's skip the CLI step, but I just want anyone watching this to understand that this is a unique project in that I'm not using or relying on a testbed.yaml file. And I'll explain all of this as we go tonight, as easy and simple as I can try to make it. But what you're looking at here is what a testbed file looks like.
Yeah.
So you can see it enumerates devices, and it's a list of devices. And you can have, n plus x. You could have 1,000 devices in here. But the point is that programmatically, and I'll stop at this point when we get to that point in the PyETS, you can load topologies into the framework that then you can run tests against or commands against or learn functions from. I happen to not want to use a YAML file. It just doesn't really fit with my project, and I already have the database. So why not put the devices in the database and build the test bed dynamically, which is what we'll see tonight. Now, one thing early in my project, someone had asked for a copy of the project, and I kind of joked around about writing a README file and how much, trouble that was going to be. And almost immediately I wrote the README file, and the first person to try it had a problem because they had CentOS and I had Ubuntu, and some command didn't work. The problem of it works on my machine, right? But I can't ship my machine. So when we talk about Docker, I wanted to make what's known as a container, or containerize this app, really for you and for people to consume it, so that it has as little friction as possible. As you don't have to install anything. If you have Docker Compose, that's all you need, and it will bring up all of the services and everything that we need to make the application. So there's a file called Docker file that we can look at. And this Docker file are the instruction sets. Here's how I explain Docker, and they're called images. So in my day, burning CDs was a big deal. You used to burn a lot of CDs. and when you rip a CD, you get an image. Or if you've ever booted a VM from an image or a virtual appliance, you typically get an ISO file, an ISO, which is a standard. It's an image. I like to think of a container image as almost like a CD-ROM, but it's like a full computer. So what you're going to see is the very first line says from Ubuntu latest. So that's the operating system that's going to be inside of this container. It's actually running Ubuntu. You could run into this interactively, and you would actually have a full Ubuntu operating system. I set up some environment variables so that way we can set up an administrator account. When Django and Merlin first launches, we can go to /admin and log in as admin. Now, all of these run sections are layers, just like a CD-ROM. If you were to do multiple writes to a rewritable CD-ROM, these are kind of individual layers. And Docker uses caching. So if these layers don't change in any way, they don't need to be rebuilt every single time. And I do things like you can see here, right? They're all commands that you would normally do at the CLI yourself. So install sudo, because I want to be able to sudo commands. Install Python 3, because I want the Python 3. I need that for PyETS. Install pip, install an OpenSSH client so we can SSH to our network. Install PyETS, install Django, install the Django REST framework, install Celery. Now, the project is a Django project. Django REST framework is an additional framework we can add, very easily, by the way. You'll see this tonight. And then Celery and Redis, the next two steps, are part of the scheduling system. That way our users can set up a schedule to run that license command every day, every 6 hours, every 10 minutes. You'll see that tonight as well. We kind of finish this up by installing PostGRE, so that way we have the GRE SQL for our database. And then you'll see this will appeal to the security people and the network people, but there is Pythonic Nmap. So Merlin actually now has a port scanner at layer 4 in it using Python Nmap. Now, what I try to do with the command, because you can only run one command in your Docker file, but I need to actually do many things. So I set up a startup.sh, a bash script, bash shell, born again shell. And you can see this script will do the Django manage utility is what we're running here to make our migrations and to migrate the table that we're going to make, the model that we're going to make, migrate it into an SQL database table. Go ahead and create the super user and then start the server up. Okay, I know I went pretty fast. There's a lot going on here. It'll make a little more sense as you see it. Now, I have multiple services. I want my database, for example, and that scheduling system in Celery and my Merlin itself to run as individual containers. So that way you can go to port 8000, for example, localhost 8000, to hit the Django um, framework, the admin page, and the views that we're going to present. Well, the database is listening on 5432. Um, Flowers listening on a different port. We set up our services in this Docker compose file, and that's how Danny's actually going to build and compose Merlin locally so that he can bring up the server when the time comes. But for now, Danny, do you have any questions? I kind of covered I covered about a year's worth of Docker in about 10 minutes there.
No,
Yeah.
I think you ran through it pretty well. Yeah, it just says so. Actually, I wanted to point out. I know the viewers can see, but John kind of you could see where he was going through. Like they could see your green cursor and you highlighting as you kind of talk through it. And just so we said it once, but just so everyone knows, we're using the VS Code Live Share extension, and that's how we're communicating. Through sharing our environments, doing our pair programming. It's not how we're talking or through the the video or the audio. We're actually doing that through Discord, but the actual him viewing my screen and moving around, traversing the different files, that's all provided by this live share extension.
Yeah,
So
it's pretty neat. It's very powerful, and we could actually have many people in here. We could all be working on our own individual files.
yeah.
It's also tied into our Git. So Danny's commits tonight are all going to be tracked under his GitHub user. Pretty neat. So Danny, what do you think? Do you want to get started with modeling that data?
Yeah, let's do it. And actually real quick, John, I know you mentioned we could probably skip this part because it's so simple of a parser, but I actually have a SSH session open to that cat9k that will be parsing the data from. So I was just going to do a quick just show license summary so everyone can see what the plain text looks like before we dive into the model.
Oh, great idea. Yeah, let's show everyone what I call it legacy, what the legacy CLI is going to look like. And just imagine um, you're restricted to that, right? You're going to sign into each switch and run this command
Yeah.
and copy that to Notepad, or you're going to see tonight hopefully a much better way to work programmatically.
And so I have it up here on the stream, and let me just so it's easier to look at the parsed data and what the schema, or I should say the schema, versus what the plain text looks like. So we're basically taking this string and we're going to be parsing it into this schema, right? And then creating a data model in Merlin that will then save the data to a Postgres database, which then we can create a view that will grab that data and present it nicely, in an HTML format, through like any sort of web browser. And then on top of it, we can save that data, right, to a PDF, CSV. There's a few other formats as well. So just so everyone kind of gets a full picture, we're going from this CLI output to potentially you could collect this from as big as your test bed is. Tonight, obviously, we're only showing one device because we're using the Cisco DevNet sandboxes, but I mean, this could be your entire environment, and it could be done using all the tools that we'll be looking at tonight. So, but just real quickly, just to line up, so you see license usage in the schema. That obviously, I took that key from here. And then you'll see the any string that I kept referring to. That's the name of this license here. So you see there's two licenses, right? Network Advantage and DNA Advantage. So that'll kind of be that under license usage, you'll have two items. You'll have Network Advantage and then DNA Advantage. And each of these licenses will have like its own dictionary underneath of it. with entitlement, count, and status. And as you can see, entitlement is here, so we'll have this string saved to it. Count obviously is an integer, so 1 and 1, and then status will be in use, and that'll be a string as well. So just wanted to show you kind of where we're starting and then where we're going. So all right, John, I guess it is your time to shine. I guess we'll get started.
Yeah, so why don't you go into the models.py file, and if you go to, say, line, so what would it be alphabetically? We're doing show license, LMNOP, so after show IP interface brief,
Sure.
and but above show version.
Okay.
So what we're going to do, if we split screen here, does that work if I split my screen? Does your screen split?
Mine doesn't split, but I can see your cursor wherever you click.
Oh, I
But
see.
I can
Well, if
split. I
I just
can.
want to show, I just want to show everyone at the very top, all we're doing is um, from Django DB, we're importing models. Okay, so a lot of this is taken care of for us just by importing models. So what you can see is we're setting up classes here. So this is object oriented. So Dan, if you want to start a new line on, 546,
Okay.
and we'll give this a class of, show license summary in camel caps.
Real quick, did you want me to create a branch or anything like that before we get started, or did you just want to do it on the main branch?
If you'd like, actually, yeah, why don't you start a branch? That would be great, actually. That's a really good
Okay.
idea.
Let me just pull down, make sure I'm up to date. All right. So this is kind of a in the terminal here. You'll see get checkout dash B. So what this will do is create a branch, and let me see, show license. I'll just name the branch Dan dash show license summary
Yeah, good idea.
feature.
Yeah, and this is actually, so I'm sure there's might be a more efficient way of doing this, but for everyone at home, what I usually do is you're going to see this, we're going to add the new model, and it's going to look like what you see on the screen. Um, and then we're going to add it to the admin.py, so that way it is populated in our admin panel, and you'll see that in a second. Once I've done those two steps, I do a pull request typically back into main, and then I recompile the whole project again and continue on with things like populating it and making views out of it. So usually I make my model and then populate it, and so that way my script, my Docker container script, has the model available to make a migration of the model. And when we get to that step, I'll have Danny scroll up in the CLI output, and we'll actually see the make migration step happen.
All right. Yes. So I just created a branch, and then yeah, checkout dash B will create the branch and then check out the branch. So, and you can see that towards the bottom here that I'm in the branch I just created, which has a really long name, but so be it. It'll be easy to recognize. So, all right. So the only other thing, John, I thought about before we dive into the model was the test bed. I haven't created it. I'm not sure where you wanted to put that.
Right. So actually, we're going to skip that step entirely, Danny. And when the time comes, meaning so we're going to make an empty table, and we're going to use the PyETS to populate that table.
Okay.
When that time comes, I'll explain how we're making, because you're going to actually have to add the device to Merlin in order to parse it. And I'll
Okay.
show you that step. You're just one step ahead of me, but we're almost
Okay.
there. We're getting close to that step.
All right.
So you have a branch and we're all set?
Yep.
Okay, so let's go to that. Let's make our model, and I'll explain the fields that we're going to use and the types of fields that we're going to use. So if
Okay.
you want to go to line, 546 here,
Oh,
yep. And we're going to make a new class. Yep, go ahead. show license summary.
Okay.
And let's include the summary because we might want to add just show license all or whatever other parsers are going to come down the road. So now the first two fields I put in every model so that way I can anchor the data itself to the alias of the device.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes if we need to distinguish the operating system. Now, we could put the host name, the IP address, we could put a lot more in each model, but I just like to include the alias and the operating system. Now, those are models.text fields. So if you want to go ahead and you can either just copy the top two lines from
Okay.
another class, like 536, 537, or
I'll
type
just
them
type
out.
it out for.
Okay. And then there's going to be a third one called timestamp.
Oh,
Now, I've learned about timestamping from my Elastic Stack work, where I found that timestamping is extremely important, and it carries over into Postgres, where we want to make it like a time series database, or if we want to get something like .latest. Well, the timestamp is time sensitive, so .latest actually works. And if you see the model type is a date time field, not a text field. So go ahead and add timestamp
okay.
and then put it in, put a line between it because we're going to add those four other fields.
Okay. So timestamp is equal to which model?
Models dot date time field.
Date time
And it's a
field.
capital, be careful there. Yep, that's right.
Got it. Oh, I'm not sure if it's just my
So
VS
it's
Code,
up to you.
but
Oh,
I keep getting jumped up to the top. I'm not sure. I see your cursor on 552. I don't know if you're clicking on it or anything.
no,
Um,
I'm not. No, I'm
oh,
not clicking.
all right.
I'm scrolled
Might
down.
just
Yeah.
be.
Here, let me click out of the file. Here, let me do that. How's that?
I guess that works. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So go up one line. I like to put timestamp just at the bottom. I don't know. It's
Got
just a
you.
cosmetic thing for me. So now we need those four. So what would you call that parent, that wildcard string? Would you call it like license name, something like that,
Um,
or
the
license type?
so I
So if you
think
call up your that PyETS Genie view that you had open,
yeah,
that wildcard
the any
string,
string I would call it license name.
okay, so go ahead and do that. Call it license underscore name or just name if you like.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's going to be a text field.
All right. Text field.
And then your other three fields, and I would use the exact same schema names that they have from your JSON.
Got you. All right. So entitlement.
Yeah.
Entitlement. That's also going to be a text field.
Yeah. Now, I've only used these two types of fields. I'm sure there's things like integer and float and boolean, and I'm gonna have to refactor this models someday soon, and go over all the fields and change anything that's an integer to an integer field and
Yeah.
boolean fields to boolean fields, all that stuff. I haven't done that yet. I've just used text fields and date time fields. Okay, so now that's our model, but we need to return it.
Okay.
So we're going to define a string with self.
Okay.
Yeah. A- And then I just set up a variable called template that is, the zero dot and each of those fields. So if you want to cheat, Danny, and use like find replace, if you copy your whole model, yeah, you can do it that way too. That works.
I'll just yeah. So license name. And what does this do again? This kind of this string.
This is I believe what it's doing is it allows us to do this return, and it will return the value for something later down the road. like
Okay.
the when we need to do a router to serialize this model with the REST framework, for example, sometimes we want to be able to return the fields.
Okay.
Um, I'm also not 100% clear.
Yeah.
It's sort of like I got this working from an example
Yeah.
and I don't quite know, the guts of it, but
Yeah.
I know that if I don't return it, things like my serializer downstream doesn't work. Okay, so that's all. That's honestly, we're all done. We could wrap it up. Okay, so we want to save this file.
Okay.
And then what you want to do is, can you copy the name of your class? Or just remember it, show license summary.
Yep.
And we go into the admin.py.
Okay. Is that under Merlin? Oh, yeah. Have it open here.
It should be just a few files up. Yeah.
Yep.
And then what you're going to see is,
Oh, yeah.
um, yeah, just copy, just add it to the bottom there and what we do here is admin site register.
I'll just add it
And you can
above.
see I've imported my models up above. And now
Yep.
we save that. So do you want to go ahead and do your pull requests now? And I'll bring these into main,
Got you. All right.
and
So it
I'll
should be
let you
just a
know as soon as that's done.
push origin.
And I should get a pull request in my GitHub repo.
Yep. And just so everyone on the stream is I'll kind of talk through the Git process as well, because I know a daunting uh, task or tool with network automation is Git, which once you understand Git, you won't go back. I mean, I even use it locally. Like when you think of Git, you think of GitHub or GitLab, um, Bitbucket, all these different kind of remote Git repositories that you can store your code on. Um, but you can use Git locally, like with your own you know own text files. So you don't have to push everything up to GitHub or GitLab to actually use the powers of Git. But in this case, I am.
And
Go ahead.
and you really only need to, like, I wouldn't even call it a dozen, 6, 7, maybe 8 Git commands:
Yep.
pull, push, commit. It's not hard. It's hard, but it's not deep. It's wide, right? It's very narrow, and you're going to learn a handful of commands, and you're going to start to rely on those commands. But I agree, the power of Git cannot be underestimated. And if you want to start, open up a GitHub account, make a new file called learning.markdown. And when you learn something new about networking or programming, make a commit and do a pull request and add that, like a journal type system. It's a great place to keep learning and notes and whatever you want, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I jumped way ahead as soon as you said you have a list of like six, 7, 8 commands now. I was already trying to do a push. I didn't add or commit any of my changes, so I'm doing that now. Um, and so right now you'll see I just did a quick git status on my branch. So you'll see that 2 files were modified, which obviously you just saw us modify them. You could do git add and then the name of the file, or you could just do git add period. And what that will do is it will stage what they call, what Git calls stage the files. And so I'll do a git add period. Maybe. Oh, I don't have permissions over. Oh, that's neat. So actually, it did work. So it just said that there's a warning. So if we modified any files within the data DB folder, I don't have permission to stage those files. But we only changed the models in the admin page. And I'm showing you the terminal, but I actually might switch over here over to VS Code has a really neat source control plugin. You just have to sign into your GitHub account, and it'll just work. I mean, it's pretty awesome the way the different extensions and add-ons that VS Code offers. So as you see here, the changes are staged, and now I just have to commit them. So I went over to the source control tab, and you'll see that this is the commit box. So once you have the items staged or the different changes staged, then you have to commit them. And commit is kind of that like final save, and that says, "Yep, we're definitely saving it before we close the files." And then what we'll do is push the changes up to GitHub so that John can do a merge into his main branch. Did you want to add something there, John? I'm sorry.
No, no, that's perfect. I
Okay.
think that's a great explanation. So then you can't see my screen, but I'm sitting in my github.com/automate your network Merlin Unchained,
Okay.
and I'm just waiting for pull requests to show up.
Okay. And
And
let's see. I was just writing. So I was showing the. So in the source control in VS Code, it actually automatically populates and says co-authored by, and then has your name, like in the commit
isn't
message,
that neat?
because it knows we're
Yeah.
doing a live session. Um, show license summary for iOS XE. All right. So this is definitely going to be a long. I actually might get rid of that. I'll keep the co-authored part because I think that's awesome.
Keep the branch open. We're going to pull this into main, but then we're going to keep developing in your branch because there's a lot more code to push up tonight.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Cool. Yeah, I'm excited.
So we'll just.
And just a time check, we got it's about 10 to 9 here. So yeah, this is good. We're moving along pretty well.
Oh yeah. Okay. So be, got it. All right. I thought this was going to be an issue. So I don't have permissions to push directly to your project. So what has to happen in the background is I have to fork your project, and then I push to it. So, but
Gotcha.
VS Code will do that for me here. Okay. And then open on GitHub. And what I'll do, John, just so that way everyone can see from if actually let me open up Firefox, is I will create the pull request from GitHub, and so that way everyone
Okay.
can kind of see what it's like. So I mentioned forking. So whenever you clone down a project that's not um, basically it's not yours, you don't by default have any sort of permissions to just push directly to the project. What you have to do is fork the project, and then what you can do is push your branch to your forked project, and which then you create a pull request back to the main project. So think of it as you're basically, the fork is like a parallel project, right? It's the exact copy, but it's in your repository. And that actually, you can see that if I go back real quick, you'll see over here, Danny Wade's my GitHub username, and this is one of the fork project. This is kind of under my repositories, and you'll see it's the project still belongs to John. It's just now, I can create a pull request because I made changes on the forked project, and now I want them to be merged back into the main project. So I'm
Really
going to
neat.
create a
It's
pull
really
request
cool.
now for you.
Okay.
Um, I think I don't know what permissions you have set up. It should automatically go to you for approval.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I should get a little pull request icon here. If I go to my pull requests,
Okay.
I,
So I'm
I,
about to create it here in a second. So you'll see here pull request. Like people think like get confused by it because it's called a pull request versus like a merge request, which would make more sense. But essentially, I'm asking, hey, can I merge my changes into your main branch for everyone else to use, basically for the main branch of the project. So you'll see it's able to merge. It would say otherwise, like if there are any sort of conflicts. So yeah, so I'll create the pull request. It's pretty simple. I'm not gonna put a description.
no, and I know that it's coming in here.
Yep.
Okay, there we go. So on my screen, I have one open pull request, and I'm going to go in here And I'm just going to say, right, looks good. And I'm going to say comment, and Danny can probably see my comment down on his
Yep.
side.
It
And if
popped
I
up
can,
automatically.
now I've confirmed, and it's actually merged into main now.
Yep.
So
And you'll.
now, Danny, if you go to your main branch and refresh your local,
Yep.
you should now have that model inside of main.
So this is what is neat. Yeah. So as John mentioned, I'm checking out main branch. So what that does is switch from the branch I was developing on back to the main branch of the project, which obviously John's it's hosted all on GitHub. So with a git pull, what it will do is pull down the latest updates and then merge them into my local main branch. So did it git pull? You'll see right here, admin and models were changed. So you kind of see full circle. I know, we don't have tests or we don't have any sort of pre-commit checks or anything like that, but honestly, that's kind of the way an open source contribution would look like. Now, open source projects have criteria to where you would have to create unit tests and potentially any sort of pass any sort of integration testing, linting. There's a lot of things that, and it really depends on the specific project, but that's kind of full circle right there.
Yeah. So now what's neat is we're going to use, and it's very simple. This is why I use Docker. Danny's going to use a command called docker compose build,
Yep.
and he's going to say Merlin unchain, the name of my container, and that's going to build the container and make it ready to bring it up.
All right, Docker compose build, and I have to be in the root directory, right? Or do I have to be in a subdirectory?
Merlin/Merlin, I believe, is where you should be.
Let me see. Oh no, the Docker compose file is in the root.
Okay, correct. Sorry.
Yep. I just had to wait. Yep. Okay, Docker compose build, and then was there anything else?
No, no. You could add dash dash no cache to pull everything fresh from the internet, but that's up to you. That might take a while to
Yeah,
build.
let's just do Docker compose build.
Okay.
So, and just so and hopefully my stream doesn't take a hit from any of this. Uh, so what's happening here is it's following the Docker compose file. Think of it as like a set of instructions, and it's finding these images, right? And some of it you'll see like John. This is one that kind of is his entire project, but you'll see Postgres, Flower, Redis. I mean, there's a bunch of different services so that's kind of what you're seeing going on here is we're pulling that stuff down and we're building the all the dependencies. Think of it that way.
And then once that's all pulled down, we use Docker compose up and then Merlin unchained. And if you want to, can you maybe bring the terminal a little bit bigger? Because
Sure.
we're going to scroll back. I want you to see, Danny, the make migrations and the migrate stuff that's going to happen when we actually bring up the container. So you can go ahead and bring it up. And what we should see, if everything worked, is your new model being migrated in to the database.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm kind of the terminal's stuck where it's at. I guess it's pulling some
Oh,
other images.
okay, it's still building. Okay.
Yeah. Which is funny because I just did this build earlier this week, so it looks like celery was a pretty big one.
I've I've added a couple of new images. Sorry, Danny, it
No,
shouldn't take too long.
no, it's all okay. It's all good.
It was for the scheduling. I really wanted to have the scheduler working tonight, so yeah, there's a couple of new containers in there, or images, I should say.
It's not a problem.
Does it say it should have like a step number near the top, X of X number of
15 to
steps?
24.
And you said it's on Celery right now? I'll just look at my Docker file and tell you how much is
Yeah,
left.
it's actually
Probably on the Redis step, maybe.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's after celery's actually already done. Yeah, it's on the Redis. That's what it's doing. It's unzipping and running that Redis.
Yeah, Redis is fairly heavy to actually. You have to install that a little differently. It's not just a pip install. You have to pull it down and then make your own install. It's a little. And actually, I just noticed I don't have the word adding Redis. It just says adding in my in my Docker file.
Oh yeah, and I guess I could switch over to that while this is building. So yeah, this is kind of, I guess, a better way is like think of it. This is the scaffolding, the Docker Compose file, and then in the actual Docker file are the instructions. So,
That's a
and you
good
can
word.
see
Yeah.
here, adding celery is up here. And so we're actually at adding Redis. And you'll see where you've downloaded Redis. This is different, as John mentioned. It's not just a pip install where we're downloading from PyPy. It's downloading from this specific site a tar file, unzipping it, changing into the directory, and then doing a make install. So there's a lot. There's a lot going on here. Um, so that's why
And
it's taking so long.
this won't happen. Like Danny was surprised because he just built this earlier in the week. The only reason why it's going through this for Danny is because those layers have changed, right? It can't just call the cached copy. But subsequent builds, um, I should have thought to have Danny build this earlier tonight, but subsequent builds, Danny won't have to go through this because none of these layers are changing in the Docker compose or Docker file.
Yeah, and you could see which ones he. I mean, you could see you know this is one of the ones he added because the all the other tasks took 0 seconds, and it says right here cached. Right, so all of that's kind of based on whenever I built this image earlier. But so that's the difference.
Well, sorry, I hope it doesn't take too much longer here. We'll have to keep talking about other things, I guess. But on the whole live share thing, what's kind of neat is once Danny's actually brought this server up, he's able to share. Do you want to do that now, Danny? Because you can start sharing even though the server's not listening. So in
Oh
his
yeah.
live share panel, there's actually more than just him and I as participants. You can actually share, meaning Danny can share servers and even terminals. So if Danny turns on his local 8000 port,
Yeah, let me.
I will be able to,
Oh.
on my computer, right, without a VPN, without a NAT, without a dynamic DNS, nothing like that. I can just launch localhost 8000. I see it now as listening on my computer. Well, once that container is up and listening on 8000, I am able to, and we'll show you this, I'm able to log into Merlin and trigger the automation on Danny's computer, like through this live share. It's really cool.
Yeah, and I had just noticed here they actually have an audio call feature within LiveShare. I didn't catch that last time.
Yeah, it has a big dependency. I
Oh,
think it's a separate module. You know how we installed the extension pack?
yeah.
So one of those things is the audio pack, and it's pretty neat. I think there's also a whiteboard capability, Danny, where we can share a whiteboard between us, but I don't know if that's an extra add-on or something. Um, and it has chat. There's a session chat between us that we could chat here. It's really neat, yeah. How's the build coming along here?
So it's still on Redis, but it's at 8 out of 13. I'm not sure what out of the third. I guess that's the different. Oh, that's within the Docker file.
It's
No,
here.
it's just still on
Yeah.
Redis. I guess there's really nothing else
Okay.
to. Yeah.
Okay, it's still building. All right, all right. My stream is I'm just gonna close it because I can't really keep up with it anyway, and I'll take the bandwidth back.
I guess this is a good time. If anyone has any questions, feel free to put anything in the chat, Twitch or YouTube. I can definitely answer, and I'll read them off to John as well. So if you have specific questions for John, please put it in the chat. Any comments? We'll take feedback. Has this been informational? Has this helped you out? Open your eyes to anything? We'll kind of take any sort of feedback as well. So don't be afraid to put anything in the chat.
Yeah, I'd love to hear the feedback about the just this approach of paired programming and using live share and stuff. I haven't seen anyone else do this, and Danny and I thought it was pretty innovative. I'd like to know if this was more engaging than just me or Danny individually talking to nobody and just streaming by ourselves. I like this pair programming and live sharing that we're doing. So I'd love to hear the feedback as well. Yeah, that's something I'd love to hear as well. How big is that Redis?
I actually just saw it. I just saw it do a successfully installed. Done.
Okay, good. Let me mute this here too.
Okay, so it's moved on to Postgres, and now it's on Nmap.
Okay, the rest of these, the rest of them don't take very long at all. Okay, so then once the build is done, or was this up or build? This was build,
This was just
right?
build.
Okay, then you just bring it up, and we should be able to log into Merlin.
Cool. It's setting everything up now. I think this is maybe where we can. Well, never mind. Still installing Nmap.
Don't remember Nmap being that big. It shouldn't. We're really close. Nmap's the last actual installer, and then it copies over the script, and then you should be able to bring it up.
Yep, it just finished with the images. Perfect. Done. Okay, we're good now. So.
Okay, great. Let's bring it up.
Docker compose up, right?
Yep.
Cool.
Docker compose up, Merlin Unchained. And I'm actually going to try local 8000 admin.
Did you want me to add Merlin Unchained to the end?
Docker compose up and then the name of the container you want to bring up. Yep.
Thought so. All right. Let's hope the stream doesn't crash. That's spinning up all these containers.
Yeah, let's see what happens here with all this stuff. I hope it doesn't overwhelm anything. Yeah. And if it does, we can comment out some of those containers and not deal with Celery or Redis or right. Gotcha. If we need to bring services down, we can.
Oh, it's pulling in the Redis and the flower images from Docker.
Okay, the actual Docker. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, there's an error with flower.
Oh, really? What does it say?
From Damon. Oh, it looks like it's IO timeout.
Did you just try to bring it up again? Yeah, press up, and just try it again.
All right.
Yeah. So this, everyone, is not the Docker file. This is the Docker compose, and the Docker compose points to certain external contain images that it's going to bring down.
Yeah, this is this file here. And if we jump down to flower here, it's pulling this image, and all these images are on Docker Hub. That's kind of the default. They're all hosted in what's called a registry, and by default, that's Docker Hub. But you can change that. Like, you can host an internal registry, but
yes,
most people just use Docker Hub. Okay, flower pulled Okay, it looks like it's starting to go now. Yeah, I don't know. Must have skipped.
Okay, well, I'm glad to hear that. My heart sort of stopped. Like, oh no, it's not going to work. Yeah, so I've used Azure DevOps, and Azure has a. So let's say you didn't you wanted to maybe not host your container images because their infrastructure is code on Docker Hub.
Yeah.
Azure has a container registry, is what it's known as. Azure has one as well in Azure DevOps that you could use for private hosting of your containers.
Nice.
Any luck? Did it come up?
Yeah, it looks like it's attaching the storage.
Okay, okay.
So, yep.
So the first place we're going to go, Danny, is the local host 8000 slash admin.
Okay.
And we're going to just confirm that our, um, well, actually, once it, we're going to look at the logs when it actually builds because we want to look at those make migrations. But that's how we're going to validate it is in the admin page to make sure that the new table is in there.
Okay. There we go. Yeah. All right. It's created. Yeah, created model. Um,
So if you want to scroll up, you should see our show. It should be near the very bottom of the list. The show um, license summary model was migrated.
I'm just there's a couple errors.
I'm in. Yeah, I'm in, Danny.
Oh yeah. So go ahead and just do another couple like clicks.
Sure, I'm actually going to click on the show license summaries, and you should see
Yeah.
on. Oh, I have an error. You're going to have an error here.
Yeah.
I was afraid of this.
Yeah, so it says that relation Merlin show license summary does not exist.
I have the same thing. So this is remember how I mentioned sometimes you've got to do the RMRF and pull a fresh version down?
Yeah,
So stop all of the services, stop the containers. Let's try that. But the problem is it's gonna have to pull all this stuff down
I
again.
have to pull Redis again. Yeah.
Maybe you might have to. Actually, um, yeah, because it's your parser and we want to work with your parser. Okay, well, unfortunately, it looks like we're going to have to do that step.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, but I'm in. I'm actually on your your server through VS Code.
Oh,
But you
good.
see the list there. Do you see show license
I
summary?
I just stopped the container.
Oh no, in the migration phases though. You see that list of create model and all that? If you scroll
Yeah,
up in the logs,
the
do you see
show
our
show license summaries there. It didn't say it says no migrations to apply, but it does say create model show license summary.
strange that it didn't migrate it in? Okay, well tear it down
Mm-hmm.
and RMRF that folder.
Which folder?
So go right to root. So cd to your root and get rid of the Merlin Unchained folder entirely, and we're going to re-clone it down.
Okay. RF Merlin.
I wasn't sure if we had to do this or not, but yeah, just blow it away. You might have to sudo that because the
Oh yeah.
database. So sudo bang bang. We'll repeat the last command with sudo, and then re-clone the project.
Gotcha. Let me just get it from GitHub. Be easier.
Yeah, just clone it right from GitHub.
Yeah. The git clone link. And just to go full circle, so the clone command basically downloads a local copy of GitHub code. or code that's hosted on GitHub, or honestly, it could be wherever. Git clone is just basically a copy, and this could be GitLab. It could be actually something local on your machine as well.
So then make sure you change into the,
There we go.
yeah, change in the folder, and then I, I think you're just going to build it again and then bring it up again. Or did
Uh,
you do it?
Um, so yeah, I mean, I could just do the no cache and then it will start fresh. Or do you think that was
No, no, you shouldn't need to do no cache.
Docker compose build?
Just Docker Compose build, yeah,
Okay.
and then Merlin Unchained
Oh,
from the, yeah. Make sure you're in the right folder there.
oh, yeah, I'm in the right folder. I'll just start the build again. Cool. Much
So
faster.
is it hitting Redis again? Is it doing all that stuff
No,
again or no?
no,
Okay,
and
good.
it's because all that stuff is cached. All those images.
Yeah, it should just be the database. Honestly, this hopefully will work
Okay.
uh, without all that headache. I'm gonna hammer it from my side too. And yeah, actually, we didn't mention this to people. What's really neat is that Danny can see effectively the console of my Merlin server. So when I click on admin and log in, or when I click on a table, he can see my HTTP GET um, in the logs on the server he's running. Really fascinating. Without a VPN, without a NAT, without dynamic DNS, very cool.
So it's bringing up all the containers.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, that wasn't too painful. I'm really. Let's hope that did it. I
Let me
think
try
that's
it
all we
again.
needed to do.
I had an issue.
If it throws an error, you might need to do a Docker prune.
Docker
Will
prune.
it throw some weird error, like memory error at you or
Yep.
something? Yeah.
Uh,
So
yeah.
do a Docker system prune, and then capital Y to the prompt, and that'll flush all of your. You just it's just sitting in memory, your old image,
Okay.
and then you should be able to bring it up.
Yeah, it was related to the database. I have to let me see. Yeah, there was a process that was
Yeah, you should be able just to prune it and then bring it up.
running migrations. Here we go. Okay. It
Now, did
looks
you
like it's
see?
working now.
Okay, okay. I'm trying to log in.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm in. That's a good start. And then where's our new table? Show license summaries. Ah, okay, Danny, great. This is good. We can proceed.
Okay. All right.
So
And
does everyone see me in the background in his menu or in his logs clicking around?
yeah, they can see that you're in admin, the admin
Yeah.
path, looking at devices, and yep.
Cool. Okay. Okay, great. So that's a really good start. So Danny, the first place we're going to go is to devices, and we're going to, and you're going to see it looks just like a test bed file.
Do you want me
So just,
to? I guess where should I go first? I'm sorry.
yeah, yeah. So go to slash admin. I'm sorry. Launch a browser and go to localhost 8000 slash admin,
Okay.
and that'll bring you to the Merlin admin page, which is admin.
Okay. I'm in there now.
And then go to devices and click add. Because so this is how I substitute out the testbed.yaml file. So what you're going to do is you're going to fill in the devices page
Got you.
with all of the information that normally went into a testbed. In fact, they're all the same keys as the YAML file.
Got you.
So I think it's called Cat9K is the host name, lowercase,
Yep.
etc. Right? I'm just going to quickly step away. I got to use the washroom very fast. I'll be right
Sure.
back.
No problem. iOS XE. I think I can use. Yeah. Developer. I don't mind everyone on stream looking at the password because it's actually, since I'm using, oh, it's not here. Actually, it might have reset. Let me make sure I'm still. Okay. Yeah, I'm still connected. So yeah, I'm on a. I think I mentioned this at the beginning of the stream, but a VPN to a Cisco sandbox out in on the West Coast, and so I'm just plugging in the information for that sandbox, and it's just generic. So if you reserve the sandbox tomorrow, you'll get the same username password. So I'm not too worried about that. I think it's 10.
10, 10, 20, 100.
Yep.
I've been doing a lot of sandboxing these last couple. I could probably tell you, I don't know, 20 devices IPs off the top of my head. I'm in that sandbox so much.
Real quick, John, the device type and the
Yes.
platform?
So for device type, you can use whatever you want. You could just say Catalyst 9300.
Okay.
But the platform, could you use C 9300 for the platform, please?
See,
That actually is a key that I use for
sure,
things like show inventory and things like that.
sure. And I think that's it.
Yeah,
Everyone's
so
filled out.
now that's it. So there should be a save button, and you got to timestamp it.
Yep,
And now you should have a device. Okay, so back to the code.
yep.
How do we put data into? So if Danny, do you want to show the people at home what the empty table looks like that we
Uh,
just added
yeah.
to the database? Yeah.
So let me just add it to. So I'm using this Postgres SQL extension. So if you look up Postgres under the extensions tab, it's the very first one. And what this allows us to do is actually connect into the database. All right. So, and then Merlin.
Because if you look in the Docker Compose, everyone, if you've looked at this repo,
Perfect. Okay.
we expose the database port of 5432. So Postgres is actually listening on that port. So Danny can use the VS Code browser to actually connect to the database. He doesn't even need to use the admin panel, which is what he's going to show you how to see. And it should actually tell you, Danny, if I'm not mistaken, which one is the date time field, which ones are text fields, right?
Yeah. So I was going to. So I'm on the left side now in the Explorer. Is there a particular table that you want me to view? I
Yeah,
guess
let's look at the new one we just added.
the
The
devices.
show license. No, the show license one. Let's
Oh,
make
okay.
sure that the model made it into the database.
Show license summary.
Okay. Yeah, show
Okay.
license summary, and it should have the
Let me just
handful of fields.
quickly do a select star from.
Now that's going to be empty though, right? We haven't actually put any data into it, and that's the next
Oh, okay.
step.
Oh, you were just
That's
showing more or less the schema.
the schema at this point, yeah.
Got you.
But if you look in the admin panel, it'll show you that same schema, but there won't be any records. There's no records. So this is where the Merlin or the excuse me, the Merlin, the PyATS comes in, is how do we go get that show license and get it as JSON and then put it into this database? So Danny, what you're going to do is, what I recommend we do is copy 3 files.
Okay.
Go ahead and copy the three, um, the show version filter, show version job, and show version. Go ahead and copy those 3 files and paste them. So make
Where
a copy of them.
where are they at?
They are in the, go up a level for Merlin.
Okay.
So they're not in root, but they're down one level in a folder called Merlin. Do you see there's like all the job files
Oh,
in Python?
yeah.
So if you go to the very bottom, copy the last three, show version. This is usually how I do it, is just take a working one. And this is what will also give me a chance to explain to you how I'm building the dynamic um, test bed
And I'll
from that
just rename the
device.
show license summary.
Yeah, show license summary in the snake case if you could.
Hmm.
And so the only difference between, you'll see this, filter and job, and I'll show you this. Let me know when you've made the copies of the three and rename them.
Yep. Just finishing that now.
Okay.
There we go.
And then the show inventory files, right? Yeah. Okay, so
Show.
Danny, do you want to open up the show inventory job and the show, I'm sorry, license, right? Where are they? I can't see the new files yet.
It's show license summary. There should be three of them now. I just finished renaming.
I don't know if maybe I can't see new files. Hmm.
Interesting.
How do I refresh? Let me just click the refresh button. Oh no, I see them now. I'm sorry. Okay, okay. So open up show license summary filter and then split the screen and open up show license summary job.
Okay, so show license summary filter, and then show license summary job.
Okay, so job
Yeah.
is all devices. Do you see how on line 9 there is a device list variable?
Hold on just a sec.
Yep.
So I'm in the job file now. Yep.
Yep. And if you go to line 9, you see how there's this device list equals devices.objects.all?
Yeah.
Well, that is our table. That is our model. You see how on line 4, I'm importing devices from models?
Mhm.
So that is actually a Pythonic query against that. That says go get all the device objects. So then what I do is, do you want to maybe for the users at home, if you Google this, PyATS topology manual, I think are the three keywords I used. Um, I'll put it in the Discord. That might be easier for you to
Okay.
find the page for the users. So again, I'm not using a testbed.yaml file. I'm using, I'll show you how I'm doing this. I put, Danny, it's in the Discord if you want to click on that link I just posted.
Yep.
Okay. Now, if you scroll actually, there's a section there that says manual creation. If you could click on that.
Okay.
There's a second link. Use that link instead.
Okay.
They show you that you can create your own test bed, create your own devices, and then link them together to effectively pass in your own testbed file from something that's not YAML. So that is what we're doing in the code here, Danny, is from lines 15 through 37. I'll highlight it for everybody.
Yep.
This, and you can see the familiar keys, right? Alias, type, OS, credentials, connection. I'm just getting them from device dot, which is the keys in our database table, right?
Yeah.
So then so now what you need to do in each of these files, if you go to line 50, the only thing we're going to change here is the name of the Py file. So change it from show version, to show license summary in both files. And before we leave these files, if you go to the top of the filter file,
Hold on
I'll
just a
highlight
sec.
it. Show license summary. And then this one is also show license summary.
All
And
right.
if
So
you
I
go
changed
through,
that in both files. This show towards the bottom.
good. Okay. Yep. So then if you go up to line 13 here, Danny, 12 and 13,
Yeah.
this is the filter file. So what I wanted to do was give the users the option to either get all the devices or um, based on a view input field, you can see that the users in this case can filter on host name or alias or device type or IP address, right? And you see I'm importing a function called queue or a library called queue.
Oh, yep. From
Queue is like a it's like an advanced or, like and or. So it lets me chain together all these things to say, instead of devices.objects.all, right? I'm saying devices.objects.filter. And what's my filter? Well, it's this compounded advanced input field search. So let's say in our case, I don't want to learn license summary for 1,000 devices. I want it for 10, 10, 2100. Well, the user can do that. All right. Does that make sense, Danny?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, great. So then let's actually do the logic. Let's do the hard work. So if you go into the show license summary file, our actual Python file, the job file calls. So on line 23, we have to update the model that we're calling.
Oh, yep.
So instead of importing show version, we're going to import that show license summary. And I just point out how I use the PyETS framework. You can see this general functionalities file. There's actually a Py file called general functionalities. And instead of writing this test every single time, someone in the community helped me make this a class where I can just worry about what show command to parse or what learn function to or what function to learn.
Yeah,
Okay, so then, sorry, go ahead.
well, I was gonna say, and I don't want to. For those that sticking around, I don't want to just glaze over that. So this is kind of the meat of where we're actually grabbing that CLI output and parsing the information. So I just quickly opened up the general functionality, and I guess this is probably John. So, if you want to quickly just go over maybe a couple of these functions, just so that way, you know, they,
Sure. Yeah.
yeah,
So you're going to see here that I use this try except. So that way my whole program doesn't crash if something goes wrong, if I can't parse something. So what you're going to see is I'm returning from this function device dot, because PyETS, it's Python, so we can say things like device dot parse, and then the command name that we feed into it, parse learn BGP, or show IP neighbor, or in this case, show license summary. Some functions you need the .info. I don't know. I don't know why they do it this way, but very select functions like a learn config. Learn config you need the .info from. So yeah, so this makes it so that I don't need to write these 8 lines of code over and over and over again. Whereas if you look back in our show license summary Py file, on line 49 is actually where I'm invoking that general functionalities. So on line 49, I'm saying parsed show version. We're going to change that
yep.
to show license summary. So actually, could you go to the start? I actually call the variable show version as well. So let's. So then, Danny, you see there on line 47, it looks just like I had a testbed file, right?
Yeah.
For device in testbed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in this case, I'm saying in testbed devices values, that is from the database query, and that's how I got away from YAML, let's say. So let me help you here. What we're going to do is okay, so there is no NXOS, so we don't need that. And we don't need this. And instead of show version, this is show license summary. And so what we're going to do here is, I guess we should wrap this whole thing and say if device.os equals iOS XE, right?
Okay.
And that way, if it's NXOS or something, it won't run. Um, and then let me make I'll let you write this. I'm going to let you write this. And I'm going to explain to people what's happening. I'm going to leave that timestamp there, though. And we're going to make a new variable called show license summary equals show. Actually, I'll take it right from here. Okay, so everybody, what we're doing is from Merlin models, we're importing show license summary. Well, that can be instantiated, which is what we're doing on line 53 here. And we're setting up a new variable that equals that show license summary class being invoked. And then what we do is, Danny, can you split your screen?
Yeah.
And open up the models.py file on the right? And we'll leave this one open on the left.
Is that the models? Was that in?
It's in Merlin. So one more Merlin
Merlin.
folder
I got
down.
it.
Yeah. Um, so then what we're going to do, Danny, is inside of these brackets, you can see I've left timestamp there, right? So
Yeah.
timestamp equals date, time, now, whatever. Well, we're going to need PyETS alias equals.
Gotcha.
And then that's going to come from our outer device loop. Oh, I guess I see I've screwed something up. We have to put that if device OS inside
Yeah.
of the for loop. Yeah, I got that wrong.
Yeah.
I'll fix that while you do this. Yeah, you do that. This is the part of the pair programming that I love, right?
Yeah. PyDS. All right. So it's shoot.
Yeah, PyETS equals device dot
Name.
uh hang on. Let me tell you. Where do I get that from? I think it's just device dot alias. Yeah, it's device dot alias.
Alias. Okay.
Yeah. And then we need the OS. So it's gonna be the same thing. OS equals device dot OS.
OS. Okay. And these, just so kind of everyone understands, these are coming from the testbed file, but really we're not using a YAML file like you would see in the documentation. We're actually pulling it from the devices table, right?
Right. So now we're gonna have, if you want to set them up empty for now, your for, so license name equals, entitlement equals, count equals, status equals. And here we're going to need a for loop, right? Because there could be multiple license names, right?
Okay.
So just put a comma for now and
Okay.
put in, empty placeholders. So you're going to have entitlement equals and then a comma and then count and status. Now this is going to be the Pythonic JSON keys and values, but we're going to have to set up an outer for loop.
Gotta make it down to the model
License
itself.
name, entitlement, status. Yeah, we need.
Where'd it go?
Oh, sorry, we need count too.
Yeah, I was. Okay, there we go. License name, entitlement, count, status. All right, there we go.
Okay, so then I guess on line 52. So what I always test is if it's not none. So let's say, that doesn't return none. So we know there's JSON inside of self-parsed show license summary, right?
Mm-hmm.
So start a new for loop on 51
Okay.
or after 51, I guess.
Yeah.
And you can call it, for license in, and then that, I guess do you have the JSON? Do you know what the JSON structure looks like? Actually, here, let's do this. Why don't you just print self-parse license summary? Let's show everyone at home what the JSON looks like right now.
Okay.
And
So just
and just Yeah, just do a print and then comment out those other two lines and
Gotcha.
print the self.parsed.
Comment out these ones here.
Yeah, and what we probably we're not going to get through. There's all kinds of stuff left to do. We
Yeah,
might want to pick up on Tuesday after we get it populated, Danny,
sure.
with the actual views and such. But let's get the data into the database tonight. So go ahead and print self dot parse license summary, and let's show people what this JSON looks like. This is also a good indication that everything's working. But how do we do that? Well, we need a view, right? We're going to have to add this to our view.
Okay.
So let's do the on demand to make it where we have a button that will fire this code. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to scroll. Actually, if you collapse Merlin, so what you want to be is inside of Merlin,
Mm-hmm.
and if you expand on demand
Oh, okay.
and go to URLs, now don't be overwhelmed. There's a lot on the page here, but um, first what we're going to do is import a new view. Actually, you know what? Let's just do the button. We're not going to have time to get through everything else,
Yeah.
but let's put a button on the page that people can click.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is I'm going to copy an existing one. Where's my show? Let's take show version.
Okay.
And what we're going to do is have show license summary. And that's going to be show license summary all. Now remember, we have those two different jobs, the all and the filter. We're
Mm-hmm.
just going to handle the all for now. And I missed summary there. Hang on. Okay, so this is the URL the user is going to type in
Okay.
their browser to get to this path. And it's got a view, and that's the name of the view. So we're going to go into our views, and
Okay.
this is actually very simple where um, we're going to, I guess it would go above IP interface brief. We're going to define a function called show license summary all that does OS system and then our run show license summary job. And that's it. That's all we have to do here. Now, that is the view and the URL. Now, I like to explain to people there's kind of three things that go together. The URL, the view, and then the actual HTML template that generates the page. So I have an on-demand page here, and we're going to put that button on this template. So we'll go deeper into this on Tuesday, but let me just get the button on the page.
Yeah. No,
So
that's fine. That way we can see something before we
yeah,
kind of
see
close out.
something tangible. Yeah. So let me copy show IP interface brief. And again, everyone here, this is just HTML that I'm doing here inside of a template. So this is going to be called, right, show license summary. And it has a button ID called show license summary and show license summary. Now, this is that is the row with the button, and then this is the row with the form the users are going to type in. So I'm going to put it in here, but it's not going to do anything for now
Okay.
until we add the logic on Tuesday. Let me just do this with the page that at least looks pretty. And this is show license summary. Okay, now again, we'll go deeper in this next time, but this button has a JavaScript functionality that actually triggers the button. So I have to go into my JavaScript here, and we're going to add a spinner so that way the user knows that it's actually running. So we're just going to call this, show license summary spinner box with the show license summary spinner. And again, I copy and paste. I don't write all this stuff every time by hand. I'm going to copy an existing bit of script here. And this is JavaScript calling an Ajax function. Okay, and I'll talk more about this on Tuesday next week, but or whenever Danny and I decide to get back together. But I just want to get this button working for everybody to see how we populate the database. So now these URLs have to match, right? This URL has to match the URL that we set up in the urls.py file. So show license summary result. And I just got to get that spinner box name. I don't want to get that wrong. Okay, so Danny, you're going to have to bring, and let me save all these. Could you bring the project down? So if you want to stop the container.
Oh, okay. And then bring it back up.
Yeah. Now let me put it in the Discord. There's a way to bring it down. I like to bring the volumes down when I
Oh,
bring down the project. So, Control C will stop it, and then I'll put this little command in here that I don't want to say gracefully stops it, but it'll actually tear down any volumes that you have mounted.
okay. Yeah,
Where did
if you
that
want to
go?
shoot that to me, I'll.
Yeah, it's Docker Compose down
Yep.
and then dash dash volumes, and I'll put it right in the chat there so you have
Okay.
it. And that's in my README file, everyone. It's just a way to make sure that it's not doesn't have any lingering volumes where you're going to get data mismatches. So then you just rebuild it and bring it back up, and hopefully we'll have a new button on the screen. And actually, I'll try it on my side as well. So let me know um, when everything's back up, Danny.
Okay. I'm bringing it back up now.
Okay. And then now this time where you want to go is to the slash on demand with a capital O and a capital D.
Okay. Sounds good.
And let me just check.
Oh, you know what? Do we need to um, repopulate the database, the device?
No, no.
Oh, okay.
You should not have to do that. No.
Cool. I just wasn't sure because we deleted the volumes.
Yeah, no, it should be okay. I don't believe that that will destroy the database.
All right. I will check. Oh, it's still trying to come up.
Okay, so I see our new button on the page here. Oh no, what did I call it? Did I not add a button? What did I do on that HTML page? I thought I did. Sorry, I'm just backtracking here. Where's my on demand? Yeah, I should have a show license summary button, no?
Hmm.
Do you see it, Danny? I don't see the show license button.
I don't.
Why did
Um,
the template not get? I saved everything. Is it a VS? Is it a remote share thing? No.
Interesting.
That's strange. Yeah, because we're going to have to do that quite a bit where we add the code and bring it down and bring it back up. It's like it didn't pick up the new template file. Um,
Where would
usually
that
I
be under that I could look?
Yeah, if you look under the in it should be there though. In the Merlin templates on demand, I see it right there, show license summary. It's line 378. Yeah, you see that there?
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't that get compiled in when we just rebuilt it? Could you actually, Danny, I know it's gone wrong. We missed a step. Ha! Bring it, cancel it, bring it down. We have to build. Did you just say up or did you just say build
Yeah,
first?
I did
Okay.
build.
Oh,
Or
you
I'm
did
sorry,
do it.
I didn't do build. I did build.
Okay. Yes, you've got to rebuild because that build will copy this new template file in. It won't install Redis or any of that stuff, but you do have to rebuild it.
Gotcha. Okay. And do the Docker compose down dash dash volumes again?
I would, yeah.
Okay.
I do that every time I bring it down, yeah. And we're really close. We're really close. Everyone who's stayed with us almost 2 hours now. This is great. Um, what we're going to see is the schema of the JSON on the screen, which is what we need to then write our for loop to save it into the database. We're just a couple of minutes away from actually populating the database.
All right. So tore it down and got rid of the volumes as well. Um, you
Okay.
said Docker compose build now to rebuild
Yeah,
it.
just, yeah, and you don't need no cache. Just build it
Okay.
and then bring it up, and then we should see our new button. And what you can do is if you just sit at your console,
Mm-hmm.
um, I will I'll click the button and then you can see the JSON schema, hopefully.
Okay. Docker compose up. So just to summarize, um, all the changes we made and what John just kind of went through, it required us to basically tear down all the containers, rebuild them because we changed the files, and then now we're bringing all the containers back up. So I know we're kind of jumping between code and the terminal here, so just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, and Danny, I mean, I'll leave it up to you if you want to continue to get into more views and more functionality and all that stuff. I'd be happy to do another one of these, but I'll leave that up to you. If not, I can I can patch in the rest of the code that we didn't get to tonight
Mm-hmm.
and merge it all into main. And then if you want to do stream on your own without me to show people the functionality that's been brought in, I'll leave it up to you. We can talk about that offline, maybe what the next steps are.
Yeah.
I We've covered a lot here tonight, so I didn't realize. Okay, so I've got something wrong here. Show license summary on demand, filter not found. Oh, I know why. Because I skipped the filter. Okay, we're 2 seconds away. Can you tear it down again?
Yep.
We're gonna have to rebuild it. The filter is not found because I didn't build the filter. Right, because we're just doing one and not the other. And that would be where? In the templates? Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
Um,
I was gonna say I'll let you if you want to just make the change.
it's saved. You want to rebuild it and try to bring it up again? I'm sorry.
Sure.
What happened was, like I said, we want to have a filter text box that the user types in their filter instead of all devices. But for tonight, we're just going to get the button working, and
Okay.
it the template was looking for a view that we didn't build. So that's why that particular attempt failed. But you just have to rebuild it and bring it up again. It'll
Yeah.
just take a second.
Not a problem. Not a problem. All right. Docker compose. I will say it's been a while since I was messing with Docker and Docker Compose files, so this has definitely been a good refresher.
I love it. I think, and once you get the hang, oh great, I got to bring the volumes down and I got to rebuild, but it's it really has accelerated my development with this project. Where, as you see, just okay, I update a file, bring it down, recompile, bring it back up.
Yeah,
It's actually very nice, and it's really it's not for me. It's for people. I want them to use Merlin, right? Like I'm not. I am writing this for my own benefit and for fun, but if I want people to actually be able to use it, um, it's got to be easy. Like Python virtual environments and pip install this and do that, and
yeah,
I didn't want any of that. I just want one little command, Docker compose up, and it just runs Merlin, right?
yeah, yeah. I mean, portability is key when you try to distribute software. So I think that's a good point.
Well, right away I had a problem of Ubuntu instead of CentOS, and now I don't have to deal with that anymore. Okay, so here's my button. Okay, so Danny, what do
Yep.
you see? You should see, is it not, do you see anything happening?
No, I just see that you're on the on-demand page.
I don't see anything happening either. I see the button. The new button is there, but when I click on it, okay, there's show inventory. You see something happening now?
Um,
Yeah.
no.
Oh. Hmm.
Oh, yeah. It just took a second. There's a yeah. Show inventory job just kicked off.
Yeah. Okay, but I can't. So this is usually a caching thing, because we updated the JavaScript where the button is relying on JavaScript.
Here, let
Here,
me
do here. Let me do this. Let me no, no, here. I'll trigger it manually. I have a way to do this. Just 1 second. I
Okay.
don't. We don't need to recompile. It's getting
And
late.
just so everyone can see it, I just pulled up the on-demand center, and you see we added a new button and a new row for show license summary. And we purposely removed that filter. That's what John just did. Um, Before we just rebuild it, we removed the filter because there's some additional steps with that. So okay. Um,
Here. You should see. Okay, there. Do you see the? Is this job running now? Is something happening?
um, Show
It
version.
should be running that. Oh, is it not doing the show license summary?
No, I just did the show
Oh, I
version.
copied the wrong two. Sorry, that's my mistake. This will work. All right,
Okay.
this will work, because that just worked. I'm going to trigger it manually without the button.
Okay.
And now you should see the show license summary that we did. Yeah.
Um, okay. Job just kicked off. Yep. Show license summary.
Okay, so if you want to highlight to the users and maybe, show this is what we've been after all night is this bit of JavaScript object notation. And Danny, we're going to want to write a for loop. So maybe can you just take that JSON from the Ubuntu
So I'm looking at
and
the output.
inside,
I'm trying to find the actual JSON.
oh, where did we did a print.
Yeah, we
So
did.
it would be right above, just above the logging banner at the end. You should see a blob of JSON, I hope.
Um, no, it just says empty. Did something go wrong?
Did you put iOS XE in as the device type? Let me just check that.
Yeah. No, I put it in as
Is
for
that
the OS.
I'm just going to check that real quick, the devices, because
Okay.
Oh no, you've got device type as Cat9K. Yeah, iOS is.
Yeah, iOS
What do we say
XE's
here?
as the
Device.
OS type.
Yeah, that's okay. So device is iOS XE. So that should have.
Yeah, it's just odd. Yeah, because it didn't print.
Yeah, it didn't print, so that means that is not none is none. That can't be right because I tested this at the CLI.
It says it caught an error. Um, hmm. I guess what I could
I'm
do real
trying.
quick.
What error did it have? Is there red text in the PyETS job?
Um,
It
the
should be if
traceback
you just keep going up.
shows flex importer load module from file. Check name. I mean, I've never seen these sort of errors with. Oh, hold on.
So you should see the Unicon connection and then the show license command CLI output appear on the screen, right? If it connected and ran the command.
Yeah, the problem is I don't think it actually went out. It didn't even make a connection.
Okay.
From Merlin models import devices. It's so weird. Try another job. I'm just making sure that it's not. I'm just curious if that error pops up again.
Okay, yeah, I'll try I mean I can try show inventory again.
Okay.
Did that work last time, the show inventory command?
Um,
No, something's not working. Because I did show inventory before, but it's not
oh, this
populated.
one. Yeah, it's the same error message. Um, saying apps aren't loaded yet related to
Oh,
Django.
ha! Thank you. No, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, tear it down. I
Okay.
know what's going on here. Okay. Oh, thank you for reading me that error. I,
I
this is
thought it meant
something
something.
new. No,
I
it
don't
did
know
mean something.
Django.
No, that means something, and I'll show you here. So, this has something to do with my scheduling system, and what's happening is that Django. It's self-explanatory. Django is not quite ready yet, and let me fix this in the. It's actually fixed in the job file. So if I put this in the job file and go ahead and rebuild it. I'm sorry. That's on me.
Okay.
Um,
Do you need to save the show license summary.py file? It shows it's
uh,
unsaved.
no, we didn't need to change. That wasn't wrong. That file wasn't wrong. It was something that I missed. So just go ahead and rebuild it and bring it up again.
Okay.
Sorry. That's for everyone who's curious what's going on there. Earlier tonight, I wanted to get the scheduling working in case we got to it tonight, where you can schedule this job to run. You don't have to push a button. It'll just run every 5 minutes or every hour. And that required me to import Django into the PyETS job. It's just the nature of it because what happens is it runs inside of a worker. And when it's inside of the worker, that's its own container and it didn't have Django instantiated yet. So that might not make sense to anyone. It still doesn't quite make sense to me. But I found that if I just added those two lines there, Danny, you can see that import Django and
Yeah,
Django setup. That now this will
will work.
work. Okay.
All
Yeah.
right.
Pretty sure it did.
I'm bringing it up now. So Hopefully,
Okay, we're really close, everybody. I know it's 10. I know we're over 2 hours, but we are just a minute away from having data into the database here.
yep. Yeah, and then uh, we'll most likely continue this, and it won't. Hopefully, it won't take 2 hours next time. Since we got a lot of the groundwork done, we'll be more focusing on the front end, right, John?
That's exactly it. Everything else is views. This was, it's relatively hard to the views, but Danny's right. A lot of it's repetitive copy and paste. We've done the model, and right now we're working on the controller. So that whole model view controller principle, we've covered the model. We're covering the controller right now. The rest of it will be views, and Danny, we could just leave this branch exactly where it's sitting until we pick up where we left off, if you'd like.
Okay. Yeah.
So just let me know when it's back up.
It should be there.
Okay.
Let me see. Yeah.
What am I doing? Local. Okay. You should see. Hopefully, hopefully you should see some JSON on in your terminal now. You'll have to scroll up a little bit, but the PyETS job, hopefully that red error message has gone away, and we actually have a little bit of JSON now.
Mm, no, it's still saying apps aren't loaded.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I will take it from here, Danny, and
Okay.
iron out this apps aren't loaded. Why is that not? Did you build it or did you just bring it up?
Oh, you know what? That might be it. I
Okay.
didn't.
I,
I don't
I
think
don't
I
want
built
to
it.
I don't want to give up on. Yeah, I don't want to give up on this. I'm pretty sure if you built it and then bring it up.
Yeah. Let me build it. I don't. I'm almost confident. I didn't build it. That's what it was. Let me build it
Okay.
and.
All right.
Oh, talker.
Yeah, I got more time. I don't want to keep you on here all night, Danny, but I have a couple more minutes. We can
Yeah. Let's
actually get
just
the data into the database.
let's do this. And I'm thinking it might be best if you want. Well, let me rebuild it real quick. All right. So it's built, and now I'm gonna bring it up. Um,
Okay.
what I'll do is I can commit and do another pull request to your main branch so that way the changes we covered tonight are integrated with your main branch and we'll kind of start fresh
Okay.
um, on the next stream so that way we can focus
All
just
right.
yeah.
Well, just let's do that, but let's show people did it work? Is it built and up?
It's coming up. Yeah.
Okay. So I just want it would be a really good place to leave off to show people
Yeah.
the JSON on the screen at the click of a button. And then the next thing, the very first thing we'll do next stream is ingest it into the database.
Okay.
Okay, so if I'm not
Should be
mistaken,
up now.
yep, if I'm not mistaken, you should see you should see the JSON now on the screen. And just so we don't have to do this again and we don't lose it, let's stick that JSON in the bottom of this file.
Okay.
Meaning when I say this file, the license summary.py file. We'll
Oh,
just put
here
it
we
in the
go.
bottom and comment it out.
Oh, now it's parsing. Now it's my part where I'm crossing my fingers. Making sure it actually parsed. Okay. So the job did finish. Let me get the JSON. Weird. I'm just trying to find the. There we
The
go.
print.
All right. Yep.
Okay. So
Got it.
grab that print and take it into VS Code, and where we can look at it a little easier for people to see it.
Yep. And where did you want me to put it?
And then go to the bottom of the show license summary.py file.
Okay.
Yeah, just paste it in at the
Oh,
bottom there, and we'll comment it out.
there you go.
Yeah, perfect. So then, Danny, what we're going to do is, for license in license usage, or key value or whatever,
See.
and we're going to write in that data into the database. So let's just comment that out, but leave it in this file.
All right. I was gonna try
And
to.
you go ahead and make it look pretty.
Yeah, I was gonna try to, cause you can format selection, but it doesn't look like it formats. But um, maybe what I'll do
Okay,
instead.
so that's great. So
Yeah.
that button will, you can see it there. Dot 56 is dot save, and line 54 is the different attributes. We're going to loop through this and set license name equals network advantage, or whatever that JSON key is, right? The key value pair stuff. So we'll do that next time we get together, and then we can focus on the views and presenting this to the users.
Sounds good. And
Well,
real
sorry
quick.
this took so long and we had a couple of hiccups. You never know, right? I think the demo gods were actually pretty good to us tonight, all things considered.
Yeah, I don't think it was too bad. Real quick though, before we jump, I just opened up a new text file, and I'm just trying to. I was hoping to format it. I was going to show everyone. Oh, here we go. Format document. Well, that doesn't really help now, does it? All right. Let me format it. So for the couple people that stuck around, here's what the final parsed output looks like. So as I mentioned, we have the different licenses. So in this case, Network Advantage and DNA Advantage, the different entitlements. So those are basically, think of it as like the labels or the names of the licenses, like the full name, the count, so the number of licenses of this type, and then whether it's the status, in use, expired, or whatnot. So just wanted to quickly just show that. But yeah, so this is great, John. I think it was definitely definitely a good time. I enjoyed, especially the live sharing. I think that was because at one point me and
Yeah,
you were both coding at the same time on the same file.
I know. I had a really good time tonight, Danny, and I I don't think we took too long. I think we took the right amount of time to
Yeah,
explain things to people and really try to break it down. It's a big topic. We're literally making a web app from scratch here tonight. So I think we did great. I had a lot of fun, and you and I can talk offline about when you want to do this again.
yeah,
Next week might be great.
yeah.
I'm open as of now, I think. So get the pull request in, and I won't touch the code base too
Mhm.
much,
Yeah,
and then we'll pick it up from here.
sounds good. All right, guys. Yeah, I see a couple stuck around. I really appreciate you guys are true warriors. That stuck around. I know it can be fun looking at us troubleshooting some code, but appreciate everyone that joined the stream tonight. And yeah, we'll most likely pick this up next week, so that way we can kind of finish this out and we could see a finished product. So, John, anything else before I transition to the outro?
No, thanks for having me, and thanks for the people that stayed 2+ hours tonight. I hope you had a good time and maybe had some fun with us tonight and learned some things. So we'll see you probably early next week, or a week from now.
Yeah, and yeah, just tune into one of our Twitters. We'll definitely be tweeting out whether next whenever we stream next and kind of an agenda. So yeah, if you have any questions, I think it's definitely the best platform to contact me, and I'm assuming John as well. Um, so yeah, I guess we'll be seeing you around. In the meantime, stay safe out there. I'll steal John's tagline. All right. See you, everyone.
Okay, so we're off.